Welcome back, drawing buddies. This week we're going to draw Absolute Batman from pencils to inks to colors. So if that sounds like a good way to spend 38 minutes or so, let's draw. Okay, I know I already drew Batman, but this is Absolute Batman. I was at a comic show. I picked up the single issues and I decided I should read it. And then I didn't want to mess up the issues because it turns out they're valuable. So I went on the DC Comics Infinite app, since I've been paying $3.99 forever for it and absolutely never use it. And from there, I read the first 7 issues of Absolute Batman. Unfortunately, they only had up to that, and you couldn't even buy them to read the rest, so that kind of stunk. But I got pretty far into it. But this is the second time I actually had to draw Absolute Batman. The first time, he was kind of hunched over and cool and gritty looking, but he was normal size Batman. I mean, it was cool. I mean, he had, I did all the dots and I didn't get any further than the inks. But I looked at him like, nah, he's too normal size. So I decided to redraw him as the hulking behemoth that Absolute Batman actually is. So that's it. And the reason why I'm drawing him, even though I already drew a Batman, is because it looked fun and I wanted to do it. And weirdly enough, I mentioned that I wanted to do an Absolute Batman in last week's video or the week before. And for some reason, the views on that one video spiked higher than anything since my Bakugo video, which got 5,000 likes for the one of the shorts. And this one got like 3,800, 3,900. Like, that's just weird. All I did was mention Absolute Batman. Now, I don't know if that actually made a difference or not. But I was in the process of drawing him anyway. And I was going to post him in like February. Not February, sometime in January. But I figured he's already drawn, so we'll push him to the front of the line and see what happens. And we'll make him a Christmas video. Which is probably a terrible idea, because everybody's going to be doing Christmas stuff and holiday stuff. And they're not going to be worried about silly YouTube videos about a guy drawing Batman. But the pencils, you know, they go fairly quick as far as getting his shape down. And then, you know, it's all the little details that take time. I think it's mostly the inking and the pencils, because, you know, I had to figure out where to put all the blacks and stuff, because he's in heavy shadow. And then I wanted him to look nice and gritty, so I went in with the gritty halftone dots and did the shading on that. And then I colored him. And I noticed something when I use the halftone dots for shading. If I just use the halftone dots and I leave flat colors, I hate it. But if I do the halftone dots and then I put like a darker, like Batman, a darker gray where the dots are, it definitely has a better look to it. So you live and learn. But when I was younger and we had to do the halftone dots the old-fashioned way and buy sheets of plastic with dots printed on them, and they were called Ben-Day dots, and I had a lot of them too, because I went to this art store in New Haven called Holes, and it's still there, but it was in a different building, and it was like old. It just felt like it was there for like a century. I don't know how long it was actually there for, but everything was dusty. Everything was piled on top of everything, and they were in the process of moving to their new store, which is nice and clean and fancy, and it looks like a modern art store. Not nearly as fun as the old one. And I don't know why I was down there at that time, but I just happened, because I never went to Holes before. And I just happened to go there when they were getting ready to move to the other store. And they had piles of Ben-Day dots. Boxes. The boxes were cool. They were black and yellow, and they were all mid-century looking, so these things might have been mid-century. I don't know, but I doubt it, because Ben-Day dots, when they age, the glue turns yellow, or that might be a reaction to the paper. I don't know. But anyway, they were selling these things for $1 a sheet. And that's ridiculous. So I bought as many as I could afford. I think I walked out of there with 50 sheets. And even that was money I shouldn't have spent, because I was a broke college student with a kid. But if I bought them anywhere else, they were like $5 to $10 a sheet. And they weren't, you know, they were just as good, but they didn't come in as cool boxes and stuff. So, you know, you had to have a cool box. I wish I still had one of those boxes, because I would totally frame it and hang it on a wall. I tried Googling it, but I never found one. So if any of you out there in the real world, outside of the YouTubes, knows where I can get an old Ben-Day box, and it's like cheap, because I can't imagine they're worth a lot of money, but with my luck, they're probably 50, 60 bucks each. Let me know. I'd like to get one, because I want to frame it and hang it on my wall. because I remember it being that cool. I also might be extremely disappointed because the box might not be as cool as I remember it because my tastes have changed, my design tastes have changed. But I always liked that look, so I can't imagine it will. Another thing I really want as far as designs go is I want one of those new Supergirl posters. I love the trailer, but that's not why. I just love the poster. It's just her kind of floating in front of the S in the blue in the jacket, but it just looks super cool. And I have a rule. I won't hang up anything that's a photograph. It has to be some kind of art. And I'm willing to break the rule for that poster. That's how much I like it. Or it might be the FOMO of the movie because I liked Superman so much. I don't know. But I'm willing to break my no photograph rule and hang one of them up somewhere. I don't even know where, but I'm rearranging the house. So I'll figure it out. But yeah, the cheapest one I can find right now is $56 with bids on eBay. And I don't know if I want to pay that much for a poster. I might decide I don't love so much later. So we'll find out. It's also kind of weird. My throat's much better and I cough a lot less. But doing these long conversations, like at the end of some of these sentences, my throat gives out, but it is healing, and I don't know what the hell I did to it, but I messed it up really good. So it's coming back. Also, Batman's head here was a pain in the neck. I hate drawing straight on heads. It's one of my least favorite things to do, and I'm very not good at it. But I also don't like using that flip tool. But then again, I'm cheating right now and cutting his head in half and flipping it, so it's kind of the same thing. So, I don't know. But I couldn't get it symmetrical, and probably because I do this stuff late at night and when I'm way too tired to be doing it. But we finally get his head right, and it's mostly in shadow anyway, so I don't know why I drove myself so crazy over it, but I totally dig it. And I'm glad I went with the face almost all in black. It definitely keeps that absolute Batman look thing going on. And that axe bat symbol, that's super cool too. So you can see the pose, it came together pretty quickly and everything. I just spent a little extra time getting his face right and whatnot. I was going to do cityscape behind him, but then I realized there's really nothing to show. So what am I going to do? Hide a couple buildings behind his cape when a night sky will look just as cool? So I went with that. I also did a fun thing with the moon with Ben-Day dots, and I have a Photoshop account, and I pay way too much money to use Photoshop, even though I have it on an older computer. That's one that I bought a long time ago that I don't have to pay for. And the only thing I really use the Photoshop for, I mean, I do the graphics for all of these videos, but I could easily do those in Clip Studio. I could easily do them on the old computer, but it's just more convenient to have it on this new computer. And the only reason I really keep Photoshop around is to do that Ben-Day dot trick that I did on the moon. And I was sitting around last night because there was something I wanted to do on the Spider-Gwen that I drew, because I drew another Spider-Gwen, my second one, but I really didn't like the first one so much, but we'll talk about that in the Spider-Gwen video. But I wanted to put a Ben-Day dot glow behind her, because I used to do it all the time, and it fit that, because I made her into like a cool poster. You're really going to like that one. But to make her pop a little bit, I wanted a white glow around her, but I didn't just want to blur it, because that's cheesy. And on Optimus Prime, I made it look like pixels, because pixels kind of fit the whole Prime technology thing, at least that's the way it worked in my head. But I want to do the dot thing, and I didn't want to carry it over into Photoshop, do it, bring it back in the Clip Studio, finish doing the drawing. So plus I really haven't seen how easy it is to screen record off of a regular Mac, so I didn't want to do it. So I did a quick Google search, and apparently it takes about 3 seconds to do it in Clip Studio. It's a layer mode thing. I did not include it in the video, but I'm thinking another thing I am going to do in 2026 is I'm going to take all these little cheesy things that I do not show in the videos, like the moon on this one. I just kind of throw the stars up in the background, and then I bring the moon in, and magically it's there, but I don't show you how I made it. So I think I'm going to start showing you little things like that, how I make it. There's not a lot of little tricks that I know that I do, or there's probably more than I think, but I think the ones that I do will be helpful if you're drawing comics. So I will record the weird little things that I do that I don't include, that I just drop it in and say, hey, look, I made a moon. and I will make little tutorials out of them because I'm drawing them and doing them anyway on either the iPad or the computer. So why not record that and talk you through it? Because somebody might want to know how I made that moon. It's the same way I made the glow on Spider-Gwen coming up. Except it's a circle instead of the shape of Spider-Gwen. But it's the same trick, just different effect for a different use. I also figured out the perspective grid to extend the Donatello turtle video into all 4 turtles. But the hard part is going to be figuring out how to do each turtle in its own panel or own drawing without it looking cheesy and contrived. And that's going to take a little bit of time. But the turtles are coming. And I will also, since like I mentioned the moon thing, I'll show you what I'm talking about with those perspective grids and how I use those to draw on the buildings instead of using the perspective rulers and clip, because sometimes the pencil goes on the wrong line and drives me crazy and lining things up, and maybe it's just me not knowing how to use it right, but the perspective grids are old-fashioned and you can't mess them up once you got them where you want them. So I'll show you how that works too. And I'll also find a place on the interwebs to host them so you could just download them. I mean, they're just vertical lines. One set of blue ones and one set of magenta ones, so you could overlay them and get your crisscross going on for your perspective. And since I'm turning this into a soapbox for next year, on top of those little tutorials, which I can't really think of many that I'll be doing, but I will also maybe just do cheesy little quickies on how to draw different hand poses, even though sometimes I struggle with the kind of hands that I want and I default to certain fist poses a lot. But Ultimate Batman here, I used a different fist pose, so that's good on the hand hanging down. And I saw a tutorial thing. Well, it's not a tutorial. I saw a guy reviewing tutorials on art, and he was pretty rough on some of those people. And I'm pretty sure he'd be even rougher on me, since I do everything so blocky and probably the wrong way. So I doubt he'll ever see one, but just thinking about it made me say, you know what? The way I do it might be helpful to some people, even if it's not the proper way to do it. So we'll find out. And I'll show you how I draw hands as opposed to how other people draw hands, which is all pretty much the same, but just, you know, the way you explain it and the way they look, basically. Because when I draw a hand, it looks big and blocky and not everybody does it that way. So I'm also not going for a photorealistic either. I'm going for a look. So maybe my way will help a couple of you, and if it does, cool. If you think I'm crazy, say, hey man, that was the worst hand tutorial I ever saw, because I'd like to hear that too if it is. And then I think I mentioned in the last video, I'm going to do a podcast with a friend, so once this voiceover is done, and I got 5 more drawings that are done and put together, they just need voiceovers, so I'm ready for till the end of February, maybe even early March. I haven't mapped out the calendar, so I'm going to have plenty of time between now and New Year's to figure out the whole Streamlabs deal. And then we got to figure out with my friend how to connect our computers so we could both talk and do our thing. But that's definitely going to be a thing next year. And I'm going to live stream too, except I don't know if I should just do a regular drawing, because if you watch any of my extended videos, it's really slow. And if I'm talking while I'm drawing, I know I could do it. I just don't know how entertaining it'll be. It might be mind-numbingly boring, or maybe I'll just chat about things and then I'll cut to like let's draw the hands tutorial and go over that live, and then I'll cut those into smaller videos later. But again, I'll run out of material really quick if I do that for the tutorials, so, or the live streams. So it'll turn into something, and it'll definitely be art based. I just got to figure out the best way to do it, because, you know, getting the Streamlabs thing to run is fairly simple. I have it all working. I just got to make overlays and see if I want to make animations or not, because then I got to learn how to make animations. So YouTube is turning into a full-time job outside of a full-time job, but it is fun. And I've drawn like 40-something pictures I never would have drawn otherwise. And next year I'll do at least 52 more, one a week. Haven't missed one yet, and I don't plan on stopping now. Unless I really drop down to like 0 views and YouTube says, stop, you're stupid. But I don't think they'll ever do that. So they'll let me drudge along for as long as I want to, with or without the rewards of views. So we will continue. I also haven't talked about Absolute Batman yet. and we will in a minute, because right now I'm going to talk about the pencils, and you can see that they're coming together fairly quickly now that I got the shape of Batman in and I dealt with all the head problems. And as far as spotting the blacks, that's something that I'm used to doing, and I used to be very good at, and now I'm just okay at it. Mostly, it's not a practice kind of thing, because I think art is like any other learned skill. You know, if you don't use it, you sort of lose it. You don't lose everything. You still have an idea what you're doing, how things work. It's just the little things kind of fall to the wayside, and you kind of have to practice to get it back. Like, one mistake I made before doing this video is I was sitting there playing my keyboard, because I think I mentioned I played the piano before. I got bored, and I wanted to play that John Lennon Christmas song, Happy Xmas War is Over. And I was singing along. And like I said, my throat isn't 100% yet, so I'm sure that singing along thing was not the best thing to do before recording the audio for a Batman video. And another thing is I don't play the piano as much as I used to, or I should. And that's a skill that's definitely atrophied a bit on me. So I got to work that one back up, because I got a few more songs to record for an EP I'm going to put out sometime this year. I put out an album last year. Vocals aren't great. The production's mediocre. But I had a goal to finish it by my birthday, and I did. And I posted it. So I'm going to do an EP of 2 to 4 songs. I got enough to fill 3 more albums for Christmas sakes. So I'm going to do an EP, and hopefully it'll be better than the album that came last year. Well, this year, actually. And hopefully everyone after that will be even better. I also have an 8-track cassette recorder, old school 90s tech, because I'm old school. Well, I'm not old school, I'm old. Let me rephrase that. And I want to do some Scott Pilgrim sounding, kind of grungy, lo-fi sounding punk garage rock. And if I do that, I'm going to try my best to record it on the 8-track, but it might be a hybrid thing, because I don't know if I could do the drums live into that and have them sound good, so I might do the drums on the way that I do for digital recordings and bounce those onto the 8-track and then record everything else. And I don't know why I'm boring you with this story, because I'm sure you guys are not here to hear me talk about music. You're here to hear me talk about Absolute Batman. So now that we got his axe all drawn in and cool, let's talk about Absolute Batman. Absolute Batman's a completely different take on the whole Batman mythos while still being Batman. Batman is not a billionaire. He's just a regular working guy. I mean, he has all of the skills of Bruce Wayne. He has the intelligence. He has the drive. He has the ability to build. Oh, the pencils are done. And now we're going to ink Absolute Batman. See the dots? They look cool, right? That's exciting. But so he has the skill, and he has the drive, and he has the ability, and he has the tenacity, which Alfred learns pretty quick on in that book. When he was a kid, his parents were not killed when they went to see Zorro. Although they were going to go see Zorro that night, it just didn't happen. And Bruce's father is not a billionaire philanthropist heart surgeon. He was going to be a heart surgeon, but something happened, and he ended up being a teacher instead. And he didn't have Wayne money like they do in the regular universe. Also, I say that all the time. But anyway, there's going to be spoilers. But only up to issue 7, because I didn't read the rest. I do got to read the rest. I got to either buy the issues or find a place to download the issues or whatever. But I do want to read the rest. It was really good. Or I could just wait every month and be 7 months behind. But there will be spoilers up to issue 7, but that's 6 months ago. So if you haven't read it already, I'm sorry. Here's the cliff notes. So anyway, they're at a zoo because Bruce won a science fair, because even as a kid he had the aptitude, and he won a trip to the zoo for his class, and his father was his teacher. And while they're at the zoo, Joe Chill shows up, the same guy who unalived Bruce's parents in the original thing, starts shooting up the zoo. And Bruce's father gets the kids to safety in a closet type thing, or the bat. It's in the bat enclosure. That's what it was. And he saves the kids at the cost of his own life, unfortunately. And that traumatizes Bruce not only because his father was unalive because he won a trip to the zoo, he also was in the bat enclosure and was surrounded by bats, and that scared the crap out of him. Even though they show that young Bruce, even before that happened, he was enamored with bats and how they work as an animal and what makes them different from all the other mammals on Earth. So it was a fascination he always had. So it's really cool. Except for, the father getting unalive part. If that ever happened to my father, I'd probably want to go all Batman too. So after that, he gets depressed, but his friends are there to help him out and get him out of the rut. And it's really weird. It's almost like the Gotham TV show. Did you guys ever watch that? I watched the first 2 seasons because the guy who played Harvey Bullock, I really like that actor, even though I can't think of his name right now. But it's weird. He's weirdly tied to his villains happening before he's Batman, or like Catwoman. He knows Catwoman from when he was a kid, and that's not really a regular comic Batman thing. But Scott Snyder takes that a step further, and his best friends from when he was a kid to when he grew up are some of his rogues. The Riddler's one, Killer Croc's one, Harvey Dent's one, Catwoman's one, his alter ego of Matches Malone that he uses on the streets to get info when he's Bruce Wayne and he doesn't want to be Batman and he wants to be, incognito. Bruce Wayne takes on the guise of Matches Malone. He puts a scar on and a hat and he pretends he's, just a regular old street thug. But Matches Malone is a real person in this book and is one of Bruce's friends. And it's really interesting. Harvey Dent's one, if I didn't mention him already. The Riddler. I think I mentioned all those and I'm just repeating myself, so sorry about that. So they're his friends and they're his support system. And I thought that was a pretty cool take. Not all of them. Like the Joker is definitely not one of his friends, and neither is Bane. But some of them are. And also, I like that it starts out with Alfred. Because there's a show called Pennyworth. Alfred's last name is Pennyworth. And I guess it shows Alfred before he worked for the Waynes, and he was like a secret agent and stuff like that. And they hint in the comic books that he has military training because, like, he was a medic and he always patches Bruce up when he's messed up and stuff and gets injured when he's out at night and stuff. So it starts out with Alfred, and he's old and dingy and he's on a motorcycle and he's like an MI6 agent? MS6, I think it's called. Whatever British intelligence is. Don't quote me on that. And he, or MI6, I don't know. Whatever. He's a British agent and he is sent to Gotham to find out what's going on with the Black Mask. The Black Mask is causing all kinds of havoc in Gotham. He has a gang of thugs that go around unaliving people for no reason. And they're wearing these gorilla skull masks, and the masks have like all kinds of tech in them. That basically, they're like, you ever see a movie called Death Race 2000? It's a 70s movie, and they remade it with Jason Statham in the 2000s, but it wasn't as good. It was a Roger Corman movie from the 70s where they drive around in these cars built to crash and cause mayhem. And the whole point is they hit people. And the people they hit are worth points. You get so many points for hitting this guy, that guy. There's one scene where they're driving up to a hospital, and the hospital knows they're coming because this race is legal. And so the hospital pushes all the old people out into the street. And because they want the car to run them over so that the hospital staff doesn't have to deal with this. It's really dark. And so the doctors and everybody, they push the kids onto the street, and the doctors and the nurses and the young people are on the steps waiting for the cars to come by to mow down all these poor old people in the street. Like I said, it's horrible. And I think David Carradine is the one in that scene driving the car. The guy from Kill Bill. And young people are worth a lot more points than old people. So David Carradine, instead of driving through all the old people and taking the points for running over the old people, he kind of veers up onto the stairs of the hospital and he takes out all the young people and the doctors and everybody waiting to watch the old people get taken out. It's pretty hilarious. But the reason, hilarious, yeah. I guess if you got a twisted sense of humor and you were born in the 70s, you think stuff like that's funny. And I was gonna say and sell, but I say that because those gorilla masks, they're tied into like a network and a satellite network, and when you look at somebody, it shows you how many points they're worth, and it's just mindless violence. Robbing a store gets you, but they pay you for every crime you commit. So robbing a store might get you $10,000. Unaliving a regular civilian who has no status, we'll call it, they're just regular people, that'll get you like $10,000, and all this stuff goes right into your bank account. If it's a high value person like Mayor Gordon, we'll get to that in a minute. He was worth like $1 million if you unalived him, and so these people are just causing mayhem just for money and for no real reason. And the Black Mask is causing all that trouble. So back to the origin. I'm kind of jumping all over the place. Oh, yeah, because Alfred. So Alfred is the agent, the British secret agent, and he's sent to Gotham to see what's going on there. And Batman is kind of like an unknown factor who just comes out of nowhere. And the British Secret Service or whatever, they want him to engage and stop him because they want intel on the Black Mask. That's why they sent Alfred there. But Alfred is enamored with Bruce, even though he figures out who he is right away. And he decides he's going to help him instead. So I'm pretty sure this Alfred is going to be similar to our regular Alfred, except he's going to be more dangerous and more useful in the field. That's going to be cool. And then back to the zoo. So his father gets unalived by Joe Chill. I can't believe I'm saying unalived instead of the K word, but I don't know, my views are way down, so I figure if I sanitize myself as much as possible, we'll see what happens. But if it annoys me, I'll just go back to saying the K word. So his father gets taken care of, but his mother, Martha Wayne, she's still around. And she's still with him, and she's still raising him. So that's cool. So Batman still has his mom, at least for now. I hope she sticks around, because she's actually a cool character. She's an assistant to Mayor Gordon. And I think she becomes deputy mayor by the end of one of the books. And Bruce falls into despair because he thinks that what happened to his father is his fault, because he brought the class to the zoo and his father shoved him into the room and didn't come in with him because he wanted to protect him and the classmates. But Bruce's friends are good friends, even though they're his rogues gallery in the regular universe. And Catwoman shows up, even though she's a young Selina Kyle, but she's wearing a hoodie with cat ears, so she was always obsessed with cats. She's an orphan who goes from foster home to foster home, but she's part of the clique. And even part of it's Bruce is like, why don't you come stay with us? My mother thinks you're great, and we're obviously going to treat you good. And she says no for whatever reason. She's an independent young woman, I guess. But they get Bruce in the movie theater, and the movie is The Mark of Zorro, the movie he was going to watch with his father and his mother the night that the whole Joe Chill thing happened. And they have a good time, and Martha's in the back watching, the kids helping out her son. It's a nice moment. But Bruce doesn't forget, and he studies hard, and he learns how to fight, and everything else, and all the chemistry and the things that make Batman Batman. I'm sure he didn't take the full trip around the world and learn every martial art on the planet like regular Bruce did, because he doesn't have those resources, but I could be wrong. I only read 7 issues, so I don't know the full origin yet. But I do like what I'm reading, and I will read the rest. But I can only talk about what I know so far. And then the whole Black Mask thing, they offer Batman like $200 million stand down because they're going to do their big thing, and then after that he's free to do whatever he wants. And Alfred tells him to take the deal because with that kind of money he could do more as Batman in the long run and pick up this fight later if he really chooses to, and he'll have the resources to actually do something about it. And Bruce accepts. And you're like, oh no, Bruce didn't really accept, but then you think, oh, this is going to be like a Dark Knight moment with the Joker. And it is. Bruce goes to meet the Black Mask, and he basically blows up all the money, and it makes a big bat symbol in the sky, and he calls it off, and they all go after Bruce, and they actually take Bruce out. And they're about to unalive him, but he jumps off the roof, and he barely gets away with his life. And then he prepares for the next part of the scheme that he built to take out the Black Mask. This was actually my most fun part about drawing this, is putting the shading into the hole in the bat symbol on his chest that comes when he takes the mask out, because I wanted it to fade in and I wanted to use the dots, and that's where I started with the dots. And decided to carry him into the rest of the picture as shading for the black and white. So this is another one where if I ever sell prints, if there's ever enough interest, I'm going to do a black and white version on top of the color version, because it looks really cool once it's all black and whited up with all the Ben-Day dots for shading and stuff. And since Batman's buddy Edward Nygma, he's the genius of the group, and he's the techie, he tells Bruce that there's no way that he'll be able to take out the network the Black Mask is using to route the information on the people, on how to hurt them and everything and what they're worth. Because it's all run by satellites and it's all over the world and there's too many systems. Now, I'm sure regular world Bruce would be able to figure this out. I mean, he built the OMAX satellites and the Watchtower, but this is Batman, absolute Batman, in his first outing as a hero, so he hasn't gotten that far yet. But he does figure if he could take out Black Mask's boat, it'll take out the local server, and at least Gotham will be safe for a little while. So he goes out in the middle of the thing, and he has Killer Croc, I forgot his name, but one of his friends, Killer Croc too, or was it Harvey Dent? I don't know, one of them has a plane, and they fly him out, and he jumps out into, because he tells his friends that he's Batman, onto the boat, and he starts kicking the butt of everybody on the boat. And two of them is like a kid and a mother, and they're vicious unalivers. And the kid comes up to him, and he's like, "What are you going to do?" I'm a kid, and he's holding him at arm's length because the kid can't reach him or cut him, holding him by the hair, kind of. And he puts a life vest on the kid, and he punts the kid out into the ocean. It's another funny moment if you have a dark sense of humor. And the one good thing about Absolute Batman, even though he's extremely brutal, is he does not unalive anybody. He is very conscious of what he's doing, and he knows enough about anatomy and whatnot to make sure he doesn't cause any unaliving. He just doesn't care how much he hurts you. Because then he gets to fight with the Black Mask, and he wins. He blows up the boat, and for now, Gotham's safe. And then after that, there's a story about Mr. Freeze. And man, Mr. Freeze is twisted. It's basically, it's not like comic Mr. Freeze. There's a few different versions of his origin. And one of them is that, Mr. Freeze is obsessed with Nora, and it doesn't matter. But he cryogenically freezes, and there's an accident, and he needs to be in the cold all the time. So Mr. Freeze. And this one, they're like one of those companies that freezes bodies to be brought back to life in the future when they could cure their diseases and stuff. And Mr. Freeze and his wife, who's Nora, they're frozen, and they did that with their son too, because he had an illness, but their son came up. And apparently the freezing process causes nothing but pain. And Bruce goes looking into it for some reason, I forgot why. And Mr. Freeze catches him, and he starts to freeze Bruce, but Bruce gets out. He beats Mr. Freeze's son. It's Victor Freeze's son who's causing all the mayhem in this issue. And that's a good one. And then it was getting to the one I wanted to read. The one with Bane, because Bane is monstrously large and ridiculously monstrously large in this book. And I go to read, it's like, nope, you don't have access to that one. And it has a little fire thing next to it. It's like, if I got to pay $2 or $3 to read this, I will do it because I want to read the rest of this. But it would not let me, so I was not able to read the rest. So my really crappy recap of Absolute Batman 1 through 7 is done, unfortunately. But I will read the rest. I got a comic show this weekend, so hopefully I can pick up the issues I'm missing and read them up, because once I found out what the other ones were worth, I sold them. I have a nasty habit of doing that. I have no attachment to anything anymore. If I find out something I own is valuable, it's gone. It's not a great way to treat your stuff, but it's how I live now. It's like, oh, that's worth money. I'm going to sell it. And then I miss it later and regret selling it, but what can you do? On Absolute Batman here, I did most of the shading with the Ben-Day dots in different shades. I got a brush pack by True Grit Texture Supply, who does not sponsor me at all. But I use their, mostly their dot brushes, but I have a bunch of other ones. And this one, it actually looks good. And it's kind of weird because, he's mostly grays. Batman, but I did another drawing pretty much in the same style. It's for one of the anime characters. His name's Engine. The series is called God. It starts with a G. I'm gonna butcher pronouncing it, and I'm not gonna look up the spelling right now, but I did pretty much the same thing with him, where I shaded him with the dots, and then I threw his colors over him, but he's a bit more colorful than Batman. There's reds and browns and lighter shades of gray. And it didn't look... I mean, the drawing itself is awesome. I love the drawing. I love the black and white with the dots on Engine, spelled E-N-J-I-N. So I don't know if that means something different in Japanese or not. But when I threw the colors on, it did not look nearly as good. And I wanted it to be kind of a graphic poster-looking drawing. And, you know, I colored it, and I even had shading under it, and it looked alright. But it didn't look as good as this Batman did. I mean, the black and white looked awesome. So what I decided to do, instead of recoloring everything and redrawing everything, because I really love the black and white, was I was going to just leave him black and white, and then just have a color in the background and the text. And I did that, and it looked pretty okay. But then a friend of mine reminded me that graffiti is a big part of the show. So I added a big splatter over him into the background, and it kind of went through him too. I don't like that. It looks really freaking cool. So I erased the blue splatter off of certain parts of him, like his mask, his hand, and I think his umbrella. But I left it everywhere else and into the background. And I kind of love it now. And it's really graphic and really fun and really cool. And so that's what the drawing's going to be. And it's shorter than most of these videos. It's under a half hour. I don't know how, 28 minutes, or maybe even less. But it is super cool. It's very graphic and very, I don't know, it looks like it could be a screen printed poster. It's only, let's see, black, white, blue, and maroon. So yeah, it's only 4 colors, so I would have been able to screen print it when I had my 4-color press without getting fancy. And I wish I could actually print it. That would be very cool. And like the Spider-Gwen I drew, it has a very graphic postery background. I was going to draw buildings, and then I had an idea. What if I do something with text? I won't ruin it until the video comes out for you guys, because I know you're waiting on that with bated breath. But that one's super cool too. In fact, I'm going to print one up for a girl I babysit and put it in a frame and poster for her. And I talked to her father already. She's going to hang it up in her bedroom because it's super cool. So the Spider-Gwen, they're all really cool. The Spider-Gwen's postery, the Engine's postery, the Toga and Twice's postery, Optimus Prime. There's no text on him, but he's got a really bright techie kind of background, and I kind of pixelated the background a little, so that's kind of cool. And I think I'm missing one. Maybe Absolute Batman's the 5th, but whatever. I definitely got plenty of drawings coming up, so look forward to that. Here's Batman's coming together. I threw the moon in. I wasn't even looking at the screen, so I didn't realize I did that. And I also have a splatter texture that I use for stars, and it's one I actually made myself, people. I didn't cheat and steal this one off the internet. It's one I made a long time ago and scanned in. And in fact, I'm going to go and after the holiday madness is over, because I'm pretty sure the print shop I want to go to is not open. And I'm going to go print some black sheets out, just black. And I'm going to crumple them up and wrinkle them up so I could get some folding and paper textures to add over, so it looks like old wrinkled paper on some of these drawings. I think it'll be a good look for some of it. I also stumbled upon a thing called gel printing on Instagram, and I'm really interested in how that works. So I might buy a kit of that. They're only like $25 for a small kit. And then if I really get into it, I'll buy a bigger one, and I'll make prints to sell at conventions and stuff. But what I saw people do is they were using photographs, and it looks like magic. But I want to do the same thing with like these drawings. I think that'll look really cool. And it'll look like a crappily old printed poster, and that'll be awesome. And so, just another fun thing to learn. Here I am. I wasn't going to throw the filters on Batman, but then I was looking at him and I'm like, let's just try it, see what it looks like. And I really liked it once I faded him in, and it just gave him his extra little thing. I think I only used the retro film, though. I didn't use the color aberration, although I did on Spider-Gwen. But yeah, so that's it. Batman is done. So thank you all for stopping by. Like and subscribe and all that stuff, and hit the little bell thingy. And I will see you next week. And until then, go out and draw something.